Comments. Uh, Overall, of course, our technical guru is Sarah Reyes, and I appreciate her help in preparing this whole thing. She will be acting as our uh, coordinator of slides when they were provided, and also hopefully handling the door issue. I appreciate her help throughout this. She'll also be helping us with the polling process, which will be used over Zoom to vote on our candidates. And I want to thank each of you for attending. This is, I think, an important aspect of the outreach of our church for to our community, but also a way for all of us to get to know different organizations within the community that are meeting needs. Now, I also, before we get too far in here, I want to thank Rosemary Sanchez and Carol Winkler for their work in fielding your nominations to the 6 who have been offered and helping collect information that we've needed. So thanks to Carol and Rosemary. I don't know if they're on yet. And particularly, I want to thank the individuals. That would be Jean Gilbert, Dave and Eileen Steele, Joan Dormady and Jan Thompson, and Maggie Locatelli for being nominators or advocates for the charities we'll be looking at today. So thanks to you guys. And without that, obviously, we don't get very far. So hopefully there won't be too many surprises today. Now, as far as the format here, once we get to the presentations, I've asked Sarah to essentially mute everybody. Not that you're an unruly crew, but I know there's some enthusiasts here. And so Sarah will then allow the presenters the access to the microphone, and if they have asked for visuals, she will assist them in showing those visuals. Hopefully we have what people want to show. We sought those in advance. We have the option to go to screen sharing if in fact there's a late submission, but hopefully we won't have too many interruptions like that.
Other screen, I guess I can.
The presenters, and I appreciate Ms. Bustamante, Ms. Duval, Reverend Miller, Michelle Correa, Ryan Steinmetz for presenting, and also our own Maggie Locatelli. So thanks for being here with us. Now I've asked the presenters to limit their comments to 5 minutes in hopes that we will not end up here until 5 o'clock, which of course Zoom would cut us off. But so we want to, in fairness to everybody, stick to that, and I will watch the time and remind people they're getting close, and if need be, we have the old godly mute button to apply.
Camera the wrong way.
So let's hope we don't get into that. So with that in mind, I guess I will talk about the polling when we get finished with the presentations. So with that introduction, hopefully that's not too much bureaucracy. Do we know if a bunch of people are okay? Sarah, apparently Rosemary's in the waiting room somehow. Hopefully she can join us. Okay, then we'll start off with a presentation by Ms. Bustamante for My Friend's Place. Are you ready to go?
Yes, I am.
Okay, it looks like you're in motion. Okay.
So I did not prepare any type of presentation. I just would use this time to just kind of talk to you about what My Friend's Place is and what we do. And so My Friend's Place is an emergency youth shelter for youth ages 12 to 17. We are a co-ed facility, and so we do have boys and girls, and they have their own wings. We've implemented some COVID procedures, obviously for our COVID crisis. But we have been open for a little over 2 years now. And basically we are an in-between for kids experiencing homelessness, either due to being in foster care, family conflict, home evictions, or the family losing their home. And we just work with the child and the family and their guardians to get them to their next best placement. And while they're with us, they do receive a level of case management to get them connected to other community resources, things like medical care, mental health care, educational support, other family supports that they need for like in-home services and things like that. And while they're with us, we do provide for all of their like just regular hygiene needs, if you will. So we provide all of their hygiene stuff. We provide them with clothing and just things that they need to be successful. And that's in a nutshell, kind of just what we do. And our maximum capacity is for 16 youth at a time. Through COVID, we've been able to maintain, we've had to make some accommodations just in regards to like room sharing and things like that. And so through COVID, our numbers have fluctuated between 5 and 10 young people about every month. And that's really what we do.
Okay, well, thank you very much. That's a very concise presentation. Just in general terms, where is most of your funding coming from now? Is it from community donations or the Foundation of Southwestern New Mexico?
So the majority of our funding, we get a portion of funding from the city of Las Cruces, and the other big portion of our funding comes from the state of New Mexico. And those funds are mainly just to provide a night stay for each kid that stays in our shelter. All the other funding kind of things like us being able to provide for their hygiene or being able to provide them clothing and things like that, that is stuff that comes to us either through donations or things like that. So right now we are also in the process of upgrading our kitchen to a commercial grade kitchen. So right now we are a residential kitchen and we don't meet the environmental department's code for a commercial kitchen. And so we haven't been able to utilize our kitchen. There was an article that came out in the paper a little while ago about that upgrade. And so one of the donations that we are seeking is to be able to support our transition into that commercial grade kitchen.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, well, that was very concise, and thank you for your presentation. And with that, we'll move on to the next presenter then. And if you want to stay on the line or you want to stay connected, that's fine. Otherwise, Jan will report back to see the results of our process today. So
thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Ms. Bustamante. Okay, thank you. Okay, then if we can change to the next presenter is Esther Duval on behalf of Seroptimist International. So are you able to connect Sarah with Ms. Duval? I believe you had a visual also.
Yes.
Yes, so I have a PowerPoint, so let me share that.
Thank you so much, and I'm really appreciative of the honor to be able to present to you today. So I'm here on behalf of Seroptimist International. I'm the president, and Joan, one of your church members, is one of our vice presidents. The word Seroptimist is a made-up or coined word that means the best for women. And what we are is a global service organization with clubs in over 120 countries. Our organization around the world was founded 100 years ago. Our club in Las Cruces was founded in 1970. So this is our 51st year. Next slide, please. So the mission or the vision of Seroptimist International is that women and girls have the resources they need to reach their full potential and live their dreams. Again, we sort of believe that the way to empower women and girls is through education. We see education as being the pathway to really help girls and women achieve their economic and other dreams. And so we invest in women's education because it transforms lives and it transforms communities. So we have several programs again, around the world to help women achieve or live their dreams. The first is our Live Your Dream Award. This is a cash award to a woman who is pursuing something post-secondary, so after high school. It could be a community college, it could be business school, it could be a university. And many of these women have faced obstacles such as poverty, domestic violence, substance abuse, teen pregnancy, homelessness, and yet they've persevered in trying to achieve some education post-secondary, and they have to have at least one dependent. So many times they're single mothers, but occasionally we've had someone who's even supporting their grandparent or supporting a sibling. And so that's a cash award that we give and that clubs around the world give every year. Our next dream program is called Dream It, Be It. And this is targeted at high school girls. And we provide them with training and resources to prepare them for higher education and for career success. And we've also instituted on the local level, Dream It, Be It scholarships, where girls who've attended the conference can apply once they've graduated from high school and been accepted into something post-secondary for a $500 scholarship. And we give 3 of those every year. Our newest scholarship is for GED. We kind of realized there was a gap between the high school students and the college students with women who were trying to get their high school equivalency. And so they can take the GED course free at the community college, but to actually get their GED, they have to take 4 tests, and those tests cost $80. And that's a real obstacle for some women. So we provide a scholarship to help women once they've completed the class and they've passed the practice test. We provide them with vouchers to take, for the $80 to take the exam. Next slide, please. So this year we gave 5 Live Your Dream Awards, and these are 4 of our winners. One did not want her picture shared, and I'll just real quickly tell you about them. Dominique is our first place winner, and she was a young widow with 2 young children, and she's studying architecture at the at Texas Tech. Our second place winner is Jules, and she's a single mom with 2 kids. And she went through a period of being homeless and living in her car for 9 months. And she's studying business at Doña Ana Community College, and she has 2 young children. Our third place winner was Katrina, who is a veteran of the Marine Corps. Right now, she's separated from an abusive husband, and she's raising an infant son on her own. And she's studying fire science at DACC and hopes to be a firefighter. And then our 5th place winner was Ilse, who's a single mother of an infant daughter who's studying nursing at UTEP. And she's also, like many of the other women, working full time while she's going to school. So we gave 5 awards this year, ranging from $500 to $1,500. And there's been a study nationally of women who receive these Live Your Dream Awards, and they find that 86% of the recipients complete their education. 74% secure higher paying employment and improve the standard of living for themselves and their children, and 93% reported increased self-esteem. Next slide. And this is a picture of our 2019 Dream It, Be It conference. We had to cancel it in 2020 because of the COVID, and we're planning for the 2021 now. We first started this back in 2016. So again, these are high school girls from Doña Ana County and the El Paso, Texas region. They come to an all-day conference where we have different workshops like on financial literacy, how to give an elevator speech about yourself, how to overcome obstacles, how to manage stress, and setting a vision and goal for yourselves. And
you're at time.
Okay, can I just end by showing one 1-minute video?
Go ahead.
Okay, will you just show the first video, please, Sarah? And this is Ilse, one of our winners of the Live Your Dream.
I wouldn't have done it. I would have kept it.
Miss Ilse Carrasco. I am currently a junior at the University of Texas at El Paso, better known as UTEP. My goal is to become an obstetrician gynecologist, better known as OBGYN. The reason why I would like to go ahead and pursue a career is because I became a mother when I was 20 years old. I would like to be able to give my daughter a good future so she doesn't have to go through the struggles that I went through while I was growing up. I lost my father when I was 10 years old, and since then I saw how hard life could be if you don't have an education. I would like to take the time to say thank you to everybody who contributed to this award because it has really helped me with my tuition and also with childcare in order to be able to continue my education. Becoming a young mother has not been an obstacle for me to continue my education, but rather a great motivation. I would just like to remind everybody out there that nothing is impossible in this world as long as you put effort in it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Esther. I appreciate it. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, that was from Seropodist International. The next presenter is Reverend George Miller from the El Calvario Immigration Advocacy Center. Reverend Miller. George, I know he's here somewhere.
Oh, it seemed he stepped away from his computer.
Okay, then if that's the case, since Reverend Miller didn't have any visuals, can we just go ahead and jump to the Cat's Meow by Michelle Correa? Michelle, are you ready?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Yes, I am ready. Thank you.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Good afternoon, and thank you all so much for allowing me to be part of this this group. Just wanted to give you a little bit of information about our organization. About 6 years ago, there were a group of us that had a dream of creating a sanctuary for felines in this community that were in need of new homes. We found the right piece of property and we opened our doors in October of 2014. Since that time, we have been able to find really great homes for over 500 cats, including several older cats and special needs cats. This year alone, we're probably going to exceed 300. Since COVID hit, everybody was kind of, just everybody was unsure of how to proceed just with life in general, but that included the animal advocacy community. And so for a couple of weeks when COVID first happened, everybody stepped back, just trying to figure out how to move forward. But it quickly became apparent that, the animals didn't get the memo and they still needed help. And so we made a decision to carry on. We do have visitation by appointment only on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday afternoons. We adhere to the masking and the distancing, and we use copious amounts of sanitizer. And so far that has been a very good model for us. And it's probably something that we will just continue to do. Despite the challenges posed by COVID, historically before last year, 100 donations annual, 100 adoptions annually was pretty standard for us. And last year, between the transporting and the actual adoptions, we almost hit 300 last year. So this seems to be kind of how things are going to move forward. And we're adjusting and keeping up with the tidal wave of cats thus far relatively well. But it is a challenge. Sometimes it feels like you're juggling, 15 balls in the air at one time and hoping that you don't drop any of them. And of course, with that number of animals comes more expenses. We are entirely privately funded. We are entirely volunteer staffed. All of our board members, myself included, everybody is a volunteer at the Cat's Meow. And so all of the monies that we receive go to just taking care of business every day and making sure that our felines are taken care of. Again, with the number of animals that we're now dealing with on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, we have no way to ensure that those animals are vetted. And that's very important to us. making sure that they are sterilized, that they are fully vaccinated, and that they are microchipped. The way that we accomplish that now is to bring in a mobile veterinarian once a month, and we do spays and neuters on felines, up to 35 of them each month. And we're able to squeeze in some community cats as well that are owned by community residents and or our stray kitties. We're hoping to facilitate the community cat spay neuter clinics later on this year exclusively. We feel very strongly about that. A lot of the kittens and the calls for help that we get are as a result of community cats that have given birth. And if we don't do something to stem the tide, it's never going to get any better. So it's something that we feel very strongly about. Our current expenses are around $40,000 a year. And again, we are just privately funded. So, we appreciate everybody's support, and we look forward to just continuing doing what we're doing. We are the largest feline only adoption center in this area. And I think it's just going to get bigger and better as time goes on. So that's all I have. I appreciate your time very much, and thank you for your consideration.
And thank you for speaking to the time limit, and that's very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and so with no further ado, George Miller, have you returned to the microphone?
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry I had to step out. We had a gust of wind that blew. Never seen it before. It blew the bed out of my son's pickup truck, out into the street. So I just had to run out and pick it up with my wife. And so,
okay, we'll consider that an excused absence.
Thank you.
Okay, you're going to be speaking about the El Carvario Immigration Advocacy Center, my understanding is. So
that's
correct, 5 minutes, George. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm George Miller. I'm the pastor at El Calvario United Methodist Church and also the executive director of the Immigrant Advocacy Center. We get involved in a lot of different things, but one of the biggest ones is humanitarian assistance. So 2 years ago, we served 10,000 meals and housed approximately 2,500 people in our shelter overnight. Asylum seekers coming through the city. Remember the year before last when they were being dropped in the city. So we're the only permanent shelter for immigrants that's in southern New Mexico. We're not a permanent in that we don't let people stay long term, but if there's an emergency kind of thing, we open the shelter for those kind of things. It looks like right now we're getting ready for another one. A little under different circumstances, it's harder to do congregate care sheltering because you have to have the social distancing and follow the health regulations. So we're getting involved with that. So where we have to now have masks, and we think about masks for kids, and then also changing tables. You have to have those separate for each one of the pods, I guess, for people. So we're getting ready to do that. I think maybe within a couple of weeks we'll have some small numbers, hopefully manageable this time coming into New Mexico. So we'll be right on probably the first shelter that'll open up to receive those. If we get large numbers, the city will step in again, I think. We also have been this last year working with COVID. We raised about $100,000 to help people that weren't getting COVID assistance to get rent assistance and utilities and other kinds of things to get them through the crisis. And one of the biggest things we thought we needed to do is humanitarian giving out things is pretty rewarding, but it doesn't solve the long-term problem. So we've opened up a program called the Wellness, Resiliency, and Wellbeing Program. And it helps people that are that want to make a commitment to it's like a social program, I guess you'd say. But you have a social worker that's kind of running it that helps connect people to the services in the neighborhood, but also teaches vocational skills. We have a commercial kitchen, and so we have a commercial kitchen incubator where people can learn new job skills, like they want to work in the food industry or how to get licenses, how to run their own restaurant, a food truck, and we're putting people through that right now. Our first entrepreneur is doing freeze-dried fruits and vegetables from the farmers that they can't sell in the markets. We get them, and once you freeze dry stuff, it's just as nutritious as almost as fresh, and the shelf life is 30 years. So we're doing that for the schools. The schools are demanding it because the kids need the nutritious snacks and put them in the vending machines and provide them for the lunches, especially if they have to send them home remotely. We do legal services to the community. Things like this program that we're doing with the Resiliency Wellbeing Program. It also teaches things like how to save money, for instance, better family practices and educational and economic practices. And so that if they save $100 a month, then we do a matching fund. And so it develops habits. So the idea is 2 years from now or a year from now, when they complete the program, that they're at a different level economically, educational, socially than they were before. And then 2 years after that, we measure again to make sure they're permanently there. We're trying to make a permanent change in this community. And these folks are not immigrants coming through. There are people that live in our community. So we do the immigration things with the asylum seekers. We also then work with the community with other kinds of programs that we do. So those are the basic things: the shelter, humanitarian assistance, resiliency and well-being program, and community outreach. We do things in the local community downtown. So that's the short gist of it. We get our money from it's a tiny congregation, so they support it mainly with the facility, but so we learned how to kind of partner with other people, and we have about 150 volunteers, so we can stand up pretty fast the volunteer force if something happens where we need to get people working. And so it's we have a real good cross perspective of the whole community, from people that they said they'll never come back to a church again because they got damaged in the church, and now they're coming back, but through the back door or through a mission. So I want to congratulate you guys on your outward perspective. It's a wonderful thing that you're doing here, and you have some good organizations, and so that's a very impressive operation. Thanks for the opportunity to do a real quick presentation.
Well, thank you, Reverend Miller. Thank you for what you're doing with El Calvario as well. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Okay. Next person presenting is Ryan Steinmetz, and he's representing the PFLAG organization. That's Parents, Families, Friends of Gays, Lesbians and Gays. So Ryan, are you ready? Ryan Steinmetz?
I am.
I know you're here. Great, thank you, Ryan.
Yes, I'm ready to go. All right. Okay. So PFLAG has been around for 25 years. We celebrated our 25th year last year during the pandemic. Wasn't much of a celebration when we did that because of the circumstances. We weren't able to raise as much money during our fundraiser event that we normally would during that time, but we were able to have a fun online game show night that brought people together in our community. PFLAG is all about three things with regards to our mission. We're about supporting LGBTQ individuals and their families, educating about LGBTQ issues, and intersection with the LGBTQ community, so with race, intersections with homelessness, intersections with immigration, a variety of different topics. The other thing is advocacy. So advocacy on behalf of our LGBTQ individuals and families in our community. Through those guidelines, I guess, in our mission statement, we've been involved with several projects lately throughout to meet our missions. So the first is our Rainbow Refugee Project. From a few years back, we were working with 8 LGBTQ individuals from El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, and Uruguay is our last one. And so we were able to house them as they came out of detention and work with them on their next steps wherever they would be going. And we're still in contact with 4 of our LGBTQ Rainbow refugees. We also give out scholarships regularly to LGBTQ and ally students attending Doñana Community College and NMSU. We would like to increase that number to also include high school students. We weren't able to do that last year, and we would like to do that this year and work with some of the high school students that are from the Gay Straight Alliances, the GSAs from the local high schools, and also Arrowhead School as well. We have a safe space fund, which is designed to help support LGBTQ individuals in need of assistance with emergency assistance, for utilities, for rent assistance, a variety of different things. We found that we were having a lot of requests for this kind of funding and assistance. And so we set up a safe space fund to do just that, and has been helpful for some folks during the pandemic. Some of our future opportunities that we are looking to fund is a potential advocacy project, which would be possibly partnering with NAMI on LGBTQ and mental health issues, and also convening events as we emerge from the COVID pandemic. We as a convening organization have had a real challenge of how do we continue to be able to bring people together. And so we've done that in virtual spaces through our Rural Reading Rainbow Project, which has done some drag story hours and things like that for the community. But we also know that there are so many young people who are not able to gather and connect with each other. So we want to be able to provide those opportunities once we emerge from COVID.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Ryan, for your presentation, and appreciate what you're doing on behalf of the community. Okay, thank you to everybody. Now, our last charity to be nominated comes to us. Maggie Locatelli is the presenter and advocate, and she's speaking on behalf of La Casa. Maggie, are you there?
I am.
Okay. You have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. La Casa Incorporated is a not-for-profit organization combating domestic violence in Doñana County, and it's celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. La Casa's mission is to support those affected by domestic violence while striving to prevent abuse and promote healthy relationships among individuals and families. La Casa's vision is a community without domestic violence. Just to remind everybody about the scope of this problem, which kind of comes in and out of view, I think, as a social focus. In the United States, 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner. The US Department of Justice estimates that 1.3 million women and 835,000 men are victims of physical violence by an intimate partner each year. 1 in every 3 women will experience domestic violence in an intimate relationship during her lifetime. 1/3 of women who are murdered are killed by an intimate partner. People who are trapped in domestic violence relationships due to the consequences of the abuse, they usually feel ashamed or embarrassed about their situation, or have bought into the abuser's narrative that is their fault. Additionally, they often have become isolated from family and friends, are financially dependent, and see no way out. Many US cities identify domestic violence as a primary cause of homelessness. Of course, other people in the family are affected. There's a significant overlap between domestic violence within intimate partnerships and physical abuse of children. And whether children are physically injured or not, they still internalize the emotional damage of witnessing domestic violence nonetheless. And witnessing domestic violence is the strongest risk factor for transmitting violent behavior from one generation to another. So what does La Casa do? First of all, they have an emergency shelter, a safe place to stay for anybody to go in case they're in an abusive relationship, nourishing food, transportation, clothing, any kind of emergent needs. La Casa has room for 90 people to shelter, and 99% of the time they are full. During the last fiscal year for which they have statistics, which ended last June, in the previous year, they had given bed nights of shelter, 37,000 bed nights of shelter to survivors between the ages of 18 and 74. They gave services to 472 survivors, 272 children. Unfortunately, more than half of those children were also injured by an abuser. La Casa, in addition to the emergency shelter, which we think about, they also help with transitional housing, up to 24 months of rental assistance and case management support services to victims and their children who are making a transition to independent living. They right away start psychosocial support of people who are in their shelter or other services. And then they have relationships with community providers to support more in-depth counseling, alcohol and substance abuse, and health care. It's important to remember that in addition to the injuries sustained during violent episodes, physical and psychological abuse are linked to many medical problems. They also have immigration services. 51% of intimate partner homicides in the United States were victims of foreign-born victims, and immigration status can be used as another form of leverage to control in abusive relationships. La Casa also provides civil legal services and advocacy, usually in the form of getting protection orders for victims. Before COVID, they were receiving about 5,000 volunteer hours annually, and La Casa does hundreds of hours of outreach work, especially within the schools, to children and adolescents about healthy personal boundaries, red flags of a potential abuser, and that kind of thing.
Time, Maggie.
Okay, I will just say that they are the largest provider of domestic violence in New Mexico and the only provider of its kind in Doña Ana County. 85 cents of every dollar goes directly to family services.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Maggie,
you.
for your presentation. And thanks for your work with the CASA. Okay, now, due to the number of presentations and our time constraints, we have not offered an opportunity for a Q&A session because that could get carried away. What we do have is hopefully people have gotten enough information, and maybe you've even, based on the list of things, gone out and looked at websites, for example. But hopefully you're well enough informed to vote for the selection. Now, the process today, as indicated in our announcement, is to identify 4 organizations to which we will dedicate quarterly donations from our Change for Change program. With that in mind, Sarah has created a polling tool. That's the fancy Zoom word for this. This is essentially voting. Now, recognizing that some of the households where people are online here have 2 individuals, inviting members and friends of our church to cast ballots. We have not asked people to register to make sure we check the membership rolls or anything. We rely on an honor system here. If you can't trust who you use, you're in trouble already anyway. So we hope this will work. In our polling tool, the first question is the same as the second question, okay? The first question asks, please vote for up to 4 organizations to receive change for change funding. That's one question. The second question is for the second person in the household. And in that question, it essentially asks the same question. Please vote for up to 4. That's a variation on the theme of doing this sequentially. So question 1 is for the first person. Question 2 is for the second person. We will then add the votes together and we will have an answer. Hopefully we will have a clear answer. We also have a runoff provision should that be needed. So with that in mind, again, the voting is for up to 4. You can vote for fewer. If you vote for more, bad things will happen. So please only vote for 4. And we trust that if there's, you will vote only once. Okay, Sarah, do you want to put up the polling tool?
Yeah, so real quick before I officially share it, I think David already mentioned this. So we will have 2 questions. The first person will select their 4 choices, and then we will have a second question available. And that will be for people that have 2 individuals within their household. If you do not have a second individual, we will have an option that says NA. And so if there's only 1 person, please select that option. It will say NA, only select this if you voted in round 1 and have no one else in your household to vote. And that's just so we can know that, people aren't voting more than they should be. So for that second question, please vote that if there's only 1 person within your household, AKA you. With that said, I will now be launching the polling.
Now, what I'm seeing is not the ballot, but the tabulation. You want to put the questions up?
What do you mean?
What it says here, please for up to 4, but there's no play. Oh, I see. People are, you just tap on them. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're fine. Sorry about that. I was just.
How do you know if your vote's been like, how do you know? How do you know if does it turn a color or something?
Oh, you
Yeah.
know what?
How do I know that it's been like, there we go.
Yeah, there
Thank
you go.
you.
It's because you were under co-host.
Oh,
Pardon
thanks.
me?
Okay, okay.
Oh, if you're under co-host, you're not able to vote unless I take it off. So that was
Okay.
why it wasn't showing up for Maggie.
Thank
Can
you.
you take me off too?
Let
Apparently-
me take you off.
Clearly, people are ahead of me. Thank you. Okay.
I have hit my selections, but the submit button's not working.
Weird. Did it show up for you, or is it just kind of stuck?
Mine is sort of grayed out. This is Dave.
Yeah, right, mine too.
Well, you have to go to the second one and say NA, and then it'll vote.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh,
Gotcha. Thank you. Whoever
okay.
said that.
Well, now my other ones are gone. Oh, no, that's for 2. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I can't provide a lot of help on that because I can't vote. So all I'm seeing is the percentage of how many people are voting.
Okay, has everyone had a chance to vote? Every household?
We still have about 5 people that have not voted.
Okay. If you're having trouble voting, please let us know. We won't laugh or anything since we're all in this together.
Oh, Jean's raising her hand.
Jean?
I'm not sure if mine went through. I have no way of knowing if it went through or not. Because I hit NA, on the second page,
Yeah.
because I was able to vote in the first round, but I don't know if that went through. I did vote.
I voted on the first one and submitted, and it went through, even though I was having trouble, like I was the host. When Sarah did something, then finally I was able to submit. I never got a second ballot where I could hit NA. So I don't know whether that causes a problem, Sarah.
It was part of the first ballot. You just had to scroll down. It was there right under the first ballot.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that.
No, it's okay.
And Jean,
Are you able to tell Sarah if I voted, if you got mine? Because if you didn't, you could send it again. But I did, but I think it went through. I don't have any way of knowing.
there is a
Because
red,
well, the second page didn't go through. So that's what makes me wonder if it went through at all.
okay, at the bottom of the second page, it's red. It says submit. And if you pressed on that, it should have gone through.
I did not because I didn't see it.
I
didn't see it. There was nothing. That's why I did the chat. I went ahead and put the question in the chat right away because I was muted.
Okay, let's see.
I didn't realize that the NA was on the page you actually voted on. I was expecting it to be on this next one.
Okay, folks, we've done a learning exercise. Sarah?
Yes.
Assuming that people haven't been convinced that we're rigging the vote or something here, why can we simply relaunch the polling tool?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I'll relaunch it for everybody.
Why don't we relaunch it and make sure everybody, can everybody, just pause for a minute. Can everybody see the multiple boxes? And you will see at the bottom of question 2, there is an NA.
I see. You don't send it twice. It's all on the one ballot.
Yeah. But you do
got it.
have to vote the second ballot with an NA if there's only one of you.
Correct.
Okay.
But it's all on the one ballot. There's not going to be sent 2 times. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so the first, everybody has now given up their first vote. Okay. So please vote.
Vote again, right?
Yes.
Please vote for up to 4. This is again, members and friends of the congregation. So go ahead and vote, please.
Yes, I am.
Are you going to do for both? Or just
No,
one?
I'm going to do mine only.
Okay.
No laughing at somebody else. That's not
I'm
nice.
sorry, I'm out here.
Oh, I should have known who was the chuckler.
Thank you, because I see that it worked and there was a submit at the end. I didn't have that the first time because I didn't know to scroll down.
Sometimes repetition is a good thing.
Thank you.
Okay, we only have about 4 people that haven't voted.
Well, I submitted in mine. Did you get mine, Sarah? I don't know. It's still here. I submitted it, but I don't know whether you got it or not. This is VJ.
I don't have any way of knowing just because it's not showing up for me. It's just telling me how many people haven't voted.
Okay, other people submitted it. Do you still have the check marks on your form or not?
No.
Yeah, if you've submitted it, it shouldn't be showing the option to answer.
But it is.
Just submit again, VJ.
Yeah, just try to do it again.
Did you vote? All right, go down to the bottom.
But this is for the first one.
No, go down to.
Do
go
them
down to the
together,
bottom
VJ.
for the
On the
second question.
On the second question, there will be an option that says NA, and you'll click that, and then you'll click submit.
You have to really look for it because it's way at the bottom.
The very last point on the second question is for you to mark NA if you're voting as one person,
Okay,
and then hit submit. The bar should light up for you.
I did.
Okay.
Okay, is anyone else having any trouble submitting? Because we only have about one person that hasn't submitted.
Okay, and they may be not a member or a friend, so they may be choosing not to vote, Sarah.
Okay.
So, thank you. Sarah, do we have a top four?
We do. So let me end the polling.
Oh, there's some close ones.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Hmm. Hmm.
Let's see.
Sarah, do you have a total then, or how does that work on the?
Let me just give me a chance to add up both the rounds.
I think I have an answer, but at the same time, having an aggregate number would be good.
Mhm. So it seems like the top one was La Casa Inc.
Excuse me.
Give me 1 second. Well, what numbers do you have?
Well, I don't have any numbers. I have percents. I mean, are
Oh.
you just adding the percents?
So I don't know if it's showing for you, but it should show the amount of numbers of participants voted for things. So, for example, for the first question, my friend's place, it says 17 out of 24 people voted for that one.
Okay, I don't see that on my display, but it'd be good to.
Oh, okay.
It'd be good to just say what were the top vote getters and what were their votes?
Okay, so let me see. Okay, I didn't know that wasn't showing up for you, so sorry about that. So
All
it
right.
seems
The percentage actually tells you who got the highest
Yeah.
percentages.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
So all you need to do is look at the percentages and you'll know who got them. And
But there's a second ballot. There are percentages on the second ballot. You have to add them together.
yeah, that's what's taking me a bit because I
Oh,
have to add both of them.
both of
It's a
them.
percent of a different number is the issue.
But it's not going to make any difference.
Well, Sarah has the numbers, so she'll be able to add the numbers who came in the first poll and the second poll, and then the raw numbers will tell you who got the most
Yeah.
votes. So she'll be
Yeah,
able to-
so I'm just writing it down so I can look at it a bit easier. So just give me 1 second.
Yeah, give our tabulator a moment here. Unfortunately, this.
They're very sweet. but I love them.
Okay, should almost be done. Okay, got it. So here are the amount of votes from most to least. So at number 1, we have La Casa Inc. with 23 votes. After that, we have My Friend's Place with 20 votes. So Optimist has 19 votes. And El Calvario has also 19 votes. After that, it is Cat's Meow that had, no, my bad, it's P Flag that has 15 votes. And finally, it is Cat's Meow that has 13 votes. So those are our top 4 would be La Casa Inc., My Friend's Place, Sir Optimist, and El Calvario. Or Calvario.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, with that tabulation, that means we would be funding the indicated winners, which is La Casa, My Friend's Place, Sir Optimist International, and El Calvario Immigration Advocacy Center. We would not be funding Cat's Meow and PFLAG. Again,
In what order are we going to fund them?
Well, that I guess I would suggest, and this is an item we haven't discussed, that was going to be a deep issue for the Social Justice Committee, but we could simply follow the order in which the votes were cast, where we would fund La Casa first and so on going through. That would be the simplest approach, for example. Anybody have a problem with that?
Just a note from some previous years, an organization has had more immediate needs for maybe a capital campaign or a strategic projects, and it did make a difference to them. Others, it doesn't. So it might not be a bad idea to just cycle through those 4 organizations with that question.
That's a very good point. Does anybody have an objection to that? That would be something the Social Justice Committee, when we meet, we would then consider that factor. Those people who have been advocates for these different groups could raise that question. Maggie, you've got a question?
Well, I was just going to say that in terms of the presentations, My Friend's Place was the one that said anything today about it, and a here and now need in terms of getting their kitchen refurbished. That they were in the process of trying to do that, and that they're needing more funds to do that. So I was just reminding people about that since she was early on.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know they're having, they are so limited in terms of what they can do to feed the young people because they don't have a kitchen, and it would make all the difference that they could feed more nutritious meals if they could get that kitchen completed.
Right.
And teach the kids how to cook.
Right.
Seems they should come first in my book.
Okay,
And Dave, we can't wait for social justice to meet again because you're already into April then, and this starts at April 1st. We need to know who it is we're foreseeing.
Okay.
Change for change.
Well, given what we just discussed here, it sounds like we could make a choice that My Friend's Place, which has an immediate need, would receive the first quarterly allocation, and then go forward, then followed by the others, which, at least as we've understood, those needs are in the course of normal operations as opposed to an urgent situation. Unless I hear an objection, why don't we proceed and go with that route?
It could be that El Calvario is going to be in need fairly quickly because there's, Jana, you would know more about this, but there seems to be anticipation that pretty soon they are going to be caring for immigrants fairly quickly. Is that true?
I don't know how true that is. Annunciation House is still able to handle the number of people who are coming in. They and their partners in El Paso. I don't believe they're anticipating an overload yet.
Okay, that's helpful.
Now, they are doing a lot with helping farm workers and other people, immigrants, those that are documented and those that are not, who have, you know, they're suffering. But I don't think that it's any more urgent now than it would be 3 months from now.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, well, it sounds like there's some uncertainty there, and I think that the point that was made about at least putting My Friend's Place as the first to be funded, there's an argument to be made there. And certainly as long as we have that first one identified, then social justice at their next meeting can discuss this at a little more length, and maybe those advocates for these other three could then have a little more data to deal with. So I propose we go ahead and for the April 1st through June, that we just go ahead and dedicate the first quarter to My Friend's Place. And then the social justice will decide the subsequent order. Okay?
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
Okay, well, I regret we can't say everybody wins, but that's the way the process is worked. And I appreciate everyone's participation today and their the submissions from the various charities. So,
Dave, can we speak a minute?
yeah, Steve, yes, go ahead.
I don't really want any losers. These people put up their time and came here. Susan and I are willing to donate to the committee $100 for each of those people that came and participated.
And I will do the same thing.
Okay.
So for Cat's Meow and
For the Cat's Meow and for
what was the other one?
LBG.
LBG, oh, people.
Okay, so that's the Hitchkins.
Yes,
Yep.
that's $200 from us.
So for the two that are not funded, $100 each. And Jane said she would also do the same.
Yes, yes, correct.
And the Rices will too.
Great.
Okay.
Okay.
I wanted to just ask real quick, how do we get, maybe I guess I can just look up online for PFLAG. They're in the, I just Googled them, but if anybody has their address, their mailing, that would be good. I guess we're just going to send our money directly, right, rather than through UUCLC or through SJC.
What?
We can send it
We
through.
want to send it through. We want these people to feel like they got something for coming out here and talking to us. So we want your name, UUCLC, associated with our gift. Susan and I want no credit. We don't want to be on anybody's mailing list, please.
Shirley, do you think, could we sort of have a category with respect to Change for Change that would fit this purpose?
Just say change for change and then put the special name on there. And then Sherry will know when it comes in. So.
Okay.
You mean in the memo line, Shirley?
Memo
right?
line,
Yeah.
change for change and this special name, Cat's Meow. Or
That works with a check. What about online? It won't work online, will it?
You'll have to send a note to Sherry and send a note to Sherry, please.
Okay, just to designate that way. Thank you, Shirley. Okay. Okay, thank you very much again, everybody. We're a little bit over time, and thank you, Sarah, for helping us with the polling and the counting and the showing.
May I
yes, Annetta?
Will you please send a note over to the Light to tell them who is going to be the recipient for the next quarter, because there is no longer a weekly news, and that notice used to be in the weekly news.
I will do that. I believe that's due by the 25th, so we'll get that out right away.
Yes.
Thank you, Annetta. That's a good idea. Appreciate that.
All right.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Thank you for coming out and voting. We hope you had a great time.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Of course.
Okay, and thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
everybody.
Good job, Dave.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great one. I will be ending the meeting now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks.